I am tired of supporting this garbage franchise and having to watch this thing over and over again. I'm done. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Walt. I am your host, and this is the Jets Landing Zone. And I gotta tell you guys, this is gonna be a really, really quick show. I could have started recording this right after the game. If I did, this would be probably a worse recording than what you're going to get now. But I am just frustrated by this team. I am pissed off at this team. I This is the worst team that I think I've seen and watched in a number of years. And like I said before, you guys probably know this already. I've been watching this team since 1986. I've gone through seasons where they won one game. And for some reason, this feels worse because this team came into this season with all these expectations. And to have this team with Aaron Rodgers and Breece Hall and Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner and Quincy Williams and Quinnen Williams and DJ Reed lose to a Patriots team that was 1-6 on the season, that had literally lost 6 games in a row, that had been blown out. The coach called them soft. They have no offense whatsoever. Literally, I can't even name you one receiver on that team. One. A backup came in, Jacoby Brissett. Okay, he's okay. The offensive line that cannot protect their quarterback. At least tell me that this team was a good defense. They're not. They're not a good defense. This is the team that the Jets lost to this week. It is just embarrassing. So let's just, well, I guess we already started getting into it. The Jets on week 8 of the 2024 NFL season, a season where the Jets were expected to, at the very least, make the playoffs. There was Super Bowl aspirations for this team. But at the very least, they were supposed to make the playoffs. They now sit 2-6 on the season, dead last in the AFC East, with, last I checked, with the 4th pick in the draft, people. The 4th pick in the draft. This is a team that was supposed to make some noise in the playoffs. They sit now with the 4th pick in the draft. I mean, seriously? This offense was terrible today. And say what you want. Oh, well, you know what? Aaron Rodgers, he walked out of that game with a 111 quarterback rating. Fuck Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? That guy was only good because Garrett Wilson was good. He was only good. And you know what? That was it, because Devontae Adams, where's the synergy that he was supposed to have with Devontae Adams? They brought him in. They were like, oh, these guys are best buds. They're chums. They know exactly how they think. They finish each other's sentences. What happened? Second game in a row. Devontae Adams is nowhere. Nowhere. Garrett Wilson doing the heavy lifting. The only reason that Aaron Rodgers had a decent game was because of the fact that there was no turnovers. But honestly, there were tons of throws that he had, nowhere near the vicinity of a receiver. I'm starting to think that we're going to have an Aaron Rodgers problem. I really, really do. I'm at the point where, you know what? I'm starting to think maybe we start Tyrod Taylor at some point. I really, really do. Because you know what? Aaron Rodgers, think about this, people. Think about this. Week 8 of 2023 with a Zach Wilson-led offensive Jet team. They were 4-3 coming off the week 7 bye. In week 8, they won their game. That team, which is a lesser team than the one we have right now, was 4-3. Think about that. Think about that. And I hate to say it, but you know what? You substitute Zach Wilson with Aaron Rodgers, and it's the same thing. Because what were the things that we were saying last year about Zach Wilson? Zach Wilson, hey, you know what? We can't give up on Zach Wilson right now. No, you can't do it because you know what? He shows flashes. Every once in a while, yeah, he does some dumb things. Yeah, he throws some bad interceptions. Yeah, he's running around with his back to the field and stuff like that, doing stupid things. But you know what? There are flashes. Every once in a while, Zach Wilson hit a throw, and you were like, "Oh my God, this guy has talent." Are we saying the same thing about Aaron Rodgers this year? You know what? No, you got to give him a chance because you know what? Yes, he's trying to acclimate himself to the team. He's trying to understand his teammates. And every once in a while, we see that spectacular throw like the one that he threw to Xavier Gilson, which, quite honestly, you can also make the case that was a little underthrown. But the one to Conklin right up the middle where he threaded the needle, those are the things that we were seeing from Zach Wilson last year. Every once in a while, we saw this shimmer of brilliance from the quarterback position. We're seeing it again, the same thing this year. But you know what? We're doing it with a Hall of Fame quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. This was not supposed to be the way this thing played out this year. I really listen. I know it's controversial. You want to say everything, and I know probably if you do this, you probably wreck the team for the entire year. But at what point do we say, you know what? Maybe the Jets have an Aaron Rodgers problem. Maybe the reason why we can't go down and look like an NFL. Listen, this team is supposed to play the Texans on Halloween. It almost feels like the Jets forgot that Halloween is in 5 days from now because today they dressed up as a competent NFL franchise and it didn't work. It didn't work. Listen, you want to go down the line, and I'm not going to make this a really long podcast or recording because, quite honestly, there's really nothing good to say. You look at the offense, bad execution all over the place. You look at the play calling. You can actually make a case that the Jets, the first game that Downing was offensive play call for this team, was probably the best that they looked all season. What happened? Because the last 2 weeks, that Jet team is not the same one as the one that he first started against the Bills. That Jet team that played against the Bills, motion 70-75% of the time. We haven't seen that since. It almost feels like Aaron Rodgers put the kibosh on that and said, no. You know what? No more motion. I'm not having it. Can't do it. That's not what I like to do. I want to just stand there like a statue and throw the ball all over the place. You can't do that anymore, Aaron Rodgers. You have no mobility. You can't run anymore. You are just a better armed version of Joe Flacco at this point. This is not working. It really, really is not. And you know what? There's a part of me, and again, that's controversial. I know everybody's going to say, what, are you crazy? But you know what? There's a part of me that says, you know what? Maybe we have to move away from Aaron Rodgers and put in Tyrod Taylor and see if maybe the offense flows a little bit better, is a little bit more fluent. But you don't have the Aaron Rodgerisms that you have to have when he's playing. Maybe it just becomes a simplified version of the offense where Tyrod Taylor comes in and, I don't know, just throws the ball to his receivers and let them go make plays. But and you know what? Going back to play calling, Breece Hall was actually cooking this week. There were some runs. And then they stopped feeding him. It drives me nuts. You know what I'm saying? Why is it that when you have a hot hand on this team, the Jets decide, Nah, we're not going to keep playing it. We're not going to keep feeding him. There was a point where Brees Hall, clearly it looked like he was getting his stride. And look, listen, as much as I like Braylon Allen, don't take Brees. If Brees Hall seems to be coming back to the Brees Hall that we knew of 2023 and 2022, keep giving him the rock. Stop with this whole, oh, well, you know what? Let's put in Brees Hall for change of pace. Oh, you know what? Let's throw the ball instead. And you know what? Whatever happened to screen passes, guys? Where is this team just tries literally I'm sitting there and I was between watching the game on the phone because I had errands to do today and then coming home and watching it on a big screen and then having to listen to the end of the game because I had to go back out and listen to the Jets just fall apart on defense. That last drive of the game. There was a point where, believe you me, at when the Patriots got to the 10-yard line with I think like maybe a minute left, I literally turned to my wife and I said, you know what? Let them score. Because they're going to score anyway. But what was going to happen is they're going to score with like 20 seconds left or 15 seconds left or 10 seconds left. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. All the Jets did was prolong them from doing the inevitable, which everybody in the building and everybody watching TV knew the Patriots were going to score at that moment. So you know what? My feeling was let them score and we'll take our chances with Aaron Rodgers. I know it's weird. I just told them forget about, trusting Aaron Rodgers. But you know what? Let them score. Let them take that 3-point lead and give the ball and see if we can make something happen with a minute and a half left. That was where I was at with my head at that point. Instead, sure enough, the Jets did Jet things. They were like, nah, we're not going to do that. We're going to actually play defense because you know what? Our defense is a Super Bowl defense. And we're going to hold them off because you know what? We can do that with 10 yards and a minute 30. Yeah, you really, really thought the way the Jets were playing that they were going to stop the Patriots. The Patriots, which are now in that particular game, is the new run and gun of the NFL. Because the Jets defense that's supposed to be this Super Bowl team winning defense couldn't stop them 10 yards with a no-name offense. Disgusting. That's the only thing I can say about this team. Disgusting. I'm sick of it. Let's look at the defense. I know I said we weren't going to do this, but I have to point this out because you know what? This goes to how terrible this team is run by Woody Johnson. Let's look at this defense because this defense, I'm going to give you some stats here. These are stats that I got from SNY, and you know what? Boy, are they damning. Weeks 1 through 5, this defense allowed 17 points a game. They allowed 255 yards defensively, 6 turnovers, and a total of 18 sacks. Okay? Woody Johnson, in his brilliant mind, decided, you know what? Not good enough. Let's fire the coach. And I don't know, in an all-in year, this is what he's thinking. Let's fire the coach that has been here for 3+ years, and in an all-in year where you brought in Devontae Adams, you bring in Hassan Reddick, you're looking to at the very least make the playoffs, if not the Super Bowl. Let's throw in a rookie head coach with 0 head coaching experience and let him run the defense at the same time, and let's see what happens. Brilliant move, Woody. Brilliant. I'm at the point. You know what, guys? Let's sign him up for NFL Executive of the Week of the Year. Let's start that hashtag. Woody Johnson, Executive of the Year. He is a fucking idiot. No other way to say it. Because you know what happens in week 6 through 8? under the Jeff Ulbrich regime. Now remember, I told you 17 points allowed, 255 yards, 6 turnovers, and 18 sacks while Saleh was running the team. While Ulbrich, and again, this isn't a rant against Ulbrich, because you know what? The man is in over his head. There's no other way to say it. I think eventually he could be a good coach, but he was put in a shitty ass position. But anyway, let's go back to the videotape and let's check out those stats. Because you know what? Week 6 through 8, while Ulbrich is head coach and defensive coordinator, the Jets have allowed 28.3 points during that stretch. The defense, 338 yards, 0 turnovers, 5 sacks. This team has regressed defensively, which was the only unit that the Jets could always lean on and say, you know what? This unit is going to be rocking. This unit is ready to go. Since Saleh has left, that unit, that defensive unit, has gone to the tank. Now, granted, DJ Reed was hurt, Michael Carter was hurt. You had some other injuries, the 2 safeties, Chuck Clark and Tony Adams gone. I get it. But we should not be regressing this hard. Let's look at special teams now, because oh boy, that's special teams. That is something here, because we've saw signs in the preseason. We've seen it in the Viking game. We saw it in the Denver game. We've seen it all year long. And yes, Joe Douglas, you're on notice also, because you brought in lip service last week, 3 kickers. Didn't sign any of them. Didn't think, you know what? Maybe there is a deeper problem with Greg Zuerlein. And you know what? At the end of the day, folks, I am not going to put this loss on Greg Zuerlein. You know why? Because yes, those 4 points that he missed a point after and a field goal. Chip shots, both of them. But you know what? Those 4 points, even though they would make the difference in the game and the Jets would have won 26-25, the point is the Jets should never, ever have been in the position where those 4 points mattered. End of story. This is a team that the Jets rolled into Foxboro, a team that had lost 6 straight, a team that 4 weeks ago you destroyed in MetLife, a team that has no offensive line, a team that had their starting rookie quarterback who looked like the second coming of Lamar Jackson, because the Jets don't know what the word edge containment means. And then he gets hurt. And you bring in Jacoby Brissett. And all of a sudden, he's the next coming of Joe Montana. And he beats this pathetic Jet team. I'm done. I am sick and tired. Joe Douglas, listen, I have been in previous, whatever you want to call it, I've been a solid truther. I hate to say it. I think I was right here. And I've also been a Douglas truther, because you know what? When I look at Douglas, he's just like any other GM. He's got a lot of hits and he's got some misses. The biggest misses for him have been so far Zach Wilson. Okay, that was a huge miss. There you go back to the controversy of last year where Saleh said he never wanted Zach Wilson. He was willing to go to war with Sam Darnold, and he was overruled. Douglas said, no, I want Zach Wilson. That's on Douglas, okay? Douglas had that great 2022 draft, but you know what? He's been up and down. And the fact of the matter, last year, the fact that he chose not to bring in a decent backup quarterback, even after Aaron Rodgers left, and there were guys out there that he could have brought in and didn't do it. And you know what? He's doing the exact same thing this year with the kicking position. Because clearly, we've already seen it. Everybody knows it. We've been talking about it for weeks. Greg Zuerlein is not the guy this year. And I'm not the type of guy that goes and runs to rash decisions. But honestly, if Greg Zuerlein is still in the building by Tuesday, then you know what? There is a deeper problem in Florham Park. Because you know what? I hate to say it, Greg ain't got it no more. Greg the leg, he had that leg amputated somewhere in the preseason because it's not happening for him. They need to get in a kicker, and they need to get in a kicker that actually knows how to kick a ball. There are points in this game where I had to hold my breath because Greg Zuerlein was kicking the ball. And you know what? The guys that they show in halftime where they're kicking the ball for $10,000 if they can make an NFL kick, I have more faith in them than I do in Greg Zuerlein right now. This team is horrible. This team is pathetic. And I'm done with them. So much so that I'm actually going to the game next week. Next week, on October 31st, they've got the Texans coming to town. The Texans. Imagine what that could look like right now. If they lost to the Patriots, I can't imagine what that game's going to look like on Halloween. But you know what? I'm going because I paid for the tickets. I'm probably sure that even if I go on SeatGeek or TickStub or whatever, or what StubHub or whatever you want to call it, I probably can't sell those tickets for a quarter right now. Because who's going to want to go to that game? There's your up next, people. The Texans. Have at it, Jets. I'm sick and tired of you. I've wasted how many years watching you? You know what? This game just absolutely broke me. There is no words that I have with this team. Anyway, I'm done. I'm not even gonna say go Jets. Fuck you, Jets. That's all I'm gonna say. Later.